You've got to be kidding me. After weeks of speculation, after endless theories and debates, after the entire wrestling world was convinced we were getting some earth-shattering reveal that would change WWE forever, Bron Breakker stood in that ring on SmackDown and revealed the mystery man's identity, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, this is either the most brilliant long-term storytelling WWE has done in years or it's the biggest letdown since the anonymous Raw general manager turned out to be Hornswoggle. And right now, the WWE universe is absolutely split down the middle, with half the fans claiming this is genius and the other half threatening to cancel their Peacock subscriptions. But here's what's really infuriating: WWE had us. They had us completely invested in this mystery, and the way they chose to reveal it raises so many questions about whether they actually had this planned all along or if they've been scrambling behind the scenes hoping something would stick. Let me just lay it out there before we go any further, because you need to understand the full context of why this reveal has caused such an explosion of controversy and debate. Bron Breakker, who just recently won the undisputed WWE Championship in shocking fashion, got on the microphone during SmackDown and said he wants to address the elephant in the room. He's talking about the mystery man who's been terrorizing multiple WWE superstars, attacking people backstage, interfering in matches, and generally causing chaos throughout the entire company for the past month. Security hasn't been able to catch him. Wrestlers haven't been able to identify him, and WWE officials have been completely stumped about who this person is and what they want. Bron stands there in the ring, championship on his shoulder, and says he knows exactly who the mystery man is. The crowd immediately erupts because finally, after all this time, we're about to get answers. Bron explains that he's known for weeks who this person is, but he's been keeping quiet because he wanted to see how far this mystery man would go and what chaos he could create. He talks about how WWE has become too comfortable, too predictable, and too safe, and that this mystery man represents something WWE desperately needs: unpredictability and danger. And then Bron drops the bomb. He reveals that the mystery man is none other than his own cousin, a wrestler who's been training in secret for the past 2 years, someone from the legendary Steiner wrestling family who's been waiting for the perfect moment to make his debut. The mystery man is Rex Steiner, Rick Steiner's youngest son and Bron Breakker's first cousin. The crowd's reaction is mixed because while some people are excited about another member of the Steiner family joining WWE, others are frustrated because they were expecting someone more established, someone who already had name recognition, or someone whose reveal would have more immediate impact. But here's where this gets really interesting and where WWE is either playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers or completely making this up as they go along. Bron Breakker explains that he and Rex have been working together this entire time. Every attack, every interference, every moment of chaos was orchestrated by Bron to soften up the roster and establish dominance. Bron reveals that winning the championship wasn't enough. He wants to rebuild WWE in his image, and he needs allies, specifically family, to help him do it. Rex Steiner has been the enforcer, the muscle, the one doing the dirty work, while Bron positioned himself as the face of this new era. The mystery man, now revealed as Rex Steiner, comes out from the back and joins Bron in the ring. And I have to admit, the visual presence is impressive. Rex is massive, easily 6'4" and probably 270 pounds of pure muscle. He looks like a combination of his father Rick Steiner and his cousin Bron, with that same intensity and athletic build that the Steiner family is known for. He's wearing black tactical gear that makes him look like he's ready for war, and when he gets in that ring and stands next to Bron, the message is clear: these two are a dominant force. Now let me tell you why this revelation is causing such division among fans and why people are genuinely angry about how this was handled. First, there's the issue of expectations versus reality. For weeks, WWE had been building this mystery up as something massive. Commentary was treating it like the biggest mystery in WWE history. Social media was going crazy with theories. People were convinced it was going to be someone huge, maybe a returning legend, maybe someone from another promotion, maybe even someone who had left WWE years ago coming back for revenge. Instead, we got a complete unknown, someone who hasn't wrestled a single televised match, being presented as this major player. The second issue is the Steiner family connection and whether WWE is leaning too heavily on legacy talent and family dynasties. We've got the bloodline dominating for years. We've got second and third generation wrestlers all over the roster. And now we're adding another family dynasty with Bron and Rex Steiner teaming up? Some fans feel like WWE isn't giving enough opportunities to wrestlers who don't have famous last names, who don't have family connections, and who have to earn their spots purely through talent and hard work. The nepotism argument is real, and it's getting louder with each new family member that gets pushed. The third major issue is Bron Breakker's involvement and what this says about his character. Just a few weeks ago, Bron won the championship and was being positioned as this unstoppable force who won purely through his own power and ability. Now we're finding out he's had help this whole time? That he's been orchestrating attacks behind the scenes? That changes the entire narrative of his championship win and makes people question whether he truly deserves to be champion or if he's just another wrestler who needed shortcuts to get to the top. Let me break down exactly what happened during this reveal segment because the details matter and they tell us a lot about WWE's intentions and where this story is going. After Rex joins Bron in the ring, Bron hands him the microphone. This is Rex's first time speaking on WWE television, and everyone is curious to see if he has the charisma and mic skills to back up his physical presence. Rex's voice is deep and intimidating, similar to his father's, and he immediately starts cutting a promo about how he's been watching WWE for years, seeing undeserving wrestlers get opportunities while truly special talent gets overlooked. Rex talks about how when Bron called him and asked if he wanted to join him in WWE, he jumped at the opportunity, but not because he wanted handouts or special treatment. He wanted to prove that the Steiner family isn't done dominating professional wrestling. He wanted to show that the new generation of Steiners is just as tough, just as intense, and just as dangerous as Scott and Rick were in their prime. He talks about how every attack he carried out was strategic, designed to take out specific wrestlers who Bron identified as threats to their dominance. Then Rex does something unexpected. He starts calling out specific wrestlers by name. He mentions wrestlers who've been attacked over the past month and explains why each one was targeted. One wrestler was getting too much attention and needed to be humbled. Another was standing in Bron's way toward the championship. A third was talking negatively about the Steiner family in interviews and needed to be taught respect. Rex is basically confessing to multiple assaults on live television, and just like with previous storylines we've discussed, WWE seems content to let this happen without any authority figures stepping in to enforce consequences. The crowd is eating this up because regardless of whether they like the reveal or not, they can't deny that Rex has presence and that his promo is effective. He's establishing himself as a legitimate threat and giving himself instant credibility by aligning with Bron. The two of them stand in the center of that ring, and Bron delivers the final line of the segment, "This is our era now. The Steiner era. And anyone who has a problem with that can step up and get broken." The camera zooms in on both of them holding up the championship as SmackDown cuts to commercial. Social media immediately exploded after this segment. Wrestling Twitter was divided into multiple camps. You had the people who were excited about Rex Steiner and thought this was a great way to introduce a new talent. You had people who were disappointed that the mystery man wasn't someone more established. You had people questioning WWE's booking decisions and the logic of having Bron admit to orchestrating attacks. You had people debating whether Rex has earned this spot or if he's just being pushed because of his last name. And you had people who simply didn't care about any of it and were frustrated that WWE spent so much time on this mystery. The comparison to other mystery angles in wrestling history is inevitable. When WWE did the mystery attacker angle with Stone Cold Steve Austin that turned out to be Rikishi, fans were disappointed because the payoff didn't match the build-up. When WCW did mystery partner angles, sometimes they delivered with names like Hulk Hogan, and other times they failed spectacularly. The success of a mystery angle depends entirely on whether the reveal justifies the build-up and whether the person revealed can live up to the expectations created. So the question is, can Rex Steiner live up to the expectations? Does he have the in-ring ability to compete at the main roster level immediately? Does he have the charisma to connect with audiences? Does he have the work ethic and professionalism to handle the pressure of being thrust into the spotlight this way? These are all legitimate questions that only time will answer. WWE has put Rex in a position where he needs to deliver immediately, and if he fails, it's going to damage not just his career but also Bron's momentum and credibility. Let's talk about the Steiner family legacy and what it means for both Bron and Rex to carry that name. Scott Steiner and Rick Steiner were one of the most dominant tag teams of their era. The Steiner brothers revolutionized tag team wrestling with their combination of power, agility, and intensity. They won championships in every major promotion they worked in. They were respected by peers and loved by fans. That's a heavy legacy to carry, and both Bron and Rex are going to be constantly compared to their fathers. Bron has handled that pressure relatively well so far. He's carved out his own identity while still acknowledging his family heritage. He's shown that he has the physical tools and the mental toughness to succeed at the highest level. Now he's bringing his cousin into the mix, and together they have the potential to create their own legacy. But they also risk being seen as just writing their family name rather than earning respect through their own accomplishments. The wrestling community's reaction has been mixed at best. Some industry veterans have praised WWE for creating a mystery angle that actually had a payoff rather than being dropped or forgotten like so many angles in the past. They appreciate that WWE followed through and gave the mystery man an identity and a story rather than just moving on to something else. These veterans see potential in Rex and believe that with proper development and booking, he could become a major star. Other veterans and analysts are more critical. They question whether WWE is too focused on legacy talent and family dynasties. They worry that wrestlers without famous last names are being overlooked in favor of sons, daughters, and cousins of established stars. They point out that some of the greatest wrestlers in history, from Stone Cold Steve Austin to The Rock early in his career after dropping the Rocky Maivia gimmick, succeeded because they were presented as unique individuals rather than extensions of their families. From a booking perspective, WWE now has several directions they can take this Steiner Alliance storyline. The most obvious path is having Bron and Rex dominate the tag team division while Bron also holds the World Championship, making them a dual threat across multiple divisions. This would be similar to what Roman Reigns and the Usos did, establishing dominance both in singles and tag team competition. It creates compelling television and gives both men plenty to do. Another direction is having them recruit more members to form a stable. Maybe they bring in other family members or wrestlers who align with their vision of what WWE should be. This could lead to a larger faction storyline where they're battling against other groups or against WWE management itself. Faction warfare has always been compelling in wrestling when done correctly. There's also the possibility of eventual tension and betrayal within the Steiner Alliance. Family turning on family is classic wrestling storytelling. Maybe Rex gets jealous of Bron's championship success. Maybe Bron feels like Rex is getting too much credit for their dominance. Maybe outside forces work to drive a wedge between them. A Steiner versus Steiner feud could be money if built correctly over time. But let's address the biggest concern that fans have right now. Is Rex Steiner ready for this spot? Being the mystery attacker who gets revealed and immediately thrust into main event storylines is an enormous amount of pressure for someone who's never been on WWE television before. There's no chance to ease into it, no opportunity to learn and grow in front of smaller audiences. Rex is being thrown into the deep end, and he better know how to swim because if he drowns, it's going to be very public and very brutal. WWE's developmental system exists for a reason. NXT is supposed to be where new talent learns the WWE style, develops their characters, and proves they're ready for the main roster. By skipping all of that and debuting Rex directly on SmackDown as a major player, WWE is taking a huge gamble. If Rex delivers and proves he belongs, this shortcut will look brilliant. If he struggles and can't keep up with main roster demands, WWE will look foolish for rushing him. There's also the question of what happens to the wrestlers who were attacked by Rex during the Mystery Man period. Are they just supposed to forget about it and move on? Don't they deserve revenge? Shouldn't there be a line of wrestlers waiting to get their hands on Rex now that his identity is known? WWE needs to address these threads or risk having their continuity fall apart and making it seem like nothing that happens on their shows actually matters. The comparison to Bron's own debut is interesting. When Bron first came to WWE, he went through NXT, won the NXT Championship, and established himself before being called up to the main roster. He proved he could carry a brand and be a featured player. He earned his spot. Now Rex is skipping all of that and going straight to the main roster based purely on his family connection and Bron's endorsement. That's going to breed resentment, both from fans and potentially from wrestlers backstage who had to grind their way up. Let's talk about the implications for Bron Breakker's championship reign. Finding out that he's been orchestrating attacks and having helped this whole time changes the perception of his title win. Was he actually good enough to win the championship on his own, or did he need his cousin running interference? How many of his victories were legitimate, and how many were influenced by Rex's behind-the-scenes actions? These questions undermine Bron's credibility as champion and make him look weaker rather than stronger. WWE could be positioning Bron as a calculating heel who's smart enough to stack the deck in his favor, which could work if they commit to that direction. But they could also be accidentally making him look like he's not confident enough in his own abilities to win clean, which would be terrible for a champion who should be presented as the best wrestler in the company. The execution of Bron's character over the coming weeks is going to be crucial. Fan engagement with this storyline has been intense, which from WWE's perspective is probably seen as a success even if much of the engagement is negative or critical. People are talking about SmackDown. People are debating the reveal. People are predicting where this story goes next. That's exactly what WWE wants, even if the conversations aren't always flattering to their creative decisions. However, there's a difference between engagement that leads to sustained interest and engagement that's just people complaining before they tune out. WWE needs to make sure this storyline delivers in the coming weeks and months, or all this initial buzz will be wasted. They need Rex to have great matches. They need Bron and Rex's alliance to create compelling television. They need the storylines that spin out of this reveal to justify the time and effort spent building the mystery. The reveal also raises questions about WWE's creative process and whether they plan things out long-term or make decisions week to week. Did they always know Rex Steiner was going to be the mystery man, or was that decision made recently? Were there other options they considered? How much of this storyline was carefully planned versus improvised? These behind-the-scenes questions might never be answered, but they're worth thinking about as we evaluate WWE's storytelling. One thing I will give WWE credit for is following through on the mystery. Too often, wrestling companies start angles and then abandon them or forget about them. At least WWE saw this through to a reveal, even if not everyone is happy with what that reveal turned out to be. They created anticipation, built to a moment, and delivered something, which is more than can be said for some past WWE mystery angles that just fizzled out. Looking forward, the success or failure of this angle will be determined by what happens next. If Rex Steiner has incredible matches, cuts great promos, and proves he deserves the spot, people will forget their initial skepticism and embrace him as a new star. If he struggles and looks out of place on the main roster, this reveal will be remembered as a failure and another example of WWE pushing someone too soon based on their family name rather than their readiness. For Bron Breakker, this is a pivotal moment in his career. Aligning with his cousin could elevate him to new heights and establish a dynasty, or it could backfire and make him look like he needs help to maintain his position. His booking in the coming months needs to show that he's still a dominant force on his own while also benefiting from having family backup when needed. It's a delicate balance that WWE needs to strike. The broader implications for WWE's roster are significant. If the Steiner Alliance becomes a dominant force, who's going to step up to challenge them? Who has the credibility and the backing to stand against two powerhouse wrestlers with family legacy and momentum on their side? WWE needs to build credible opposition, or this storyline will become stale quickly as Bron and Rex run through the roster with no real threats. So here's where we are. Bron Breakker revealed that his cousin Rex Steiner is the mystery man who's been attacking wrestlers for weeks. The two are now aligned and positioned as a dominant force on SmackDown. The wrestling world is divided on whether this is brilliant or disappointing, and WWE has set themselves up for a storyline that could either be one of the best things they've done in years or a cautionary tale about the dangers of rushing talent and relying too heavily on family connections. What's your take on this reveal? Are you excited about Rex Steiner and the potential of the Steiner Alliance? Or are you disappointed that the mystery man wasn't someone more established? Do you think Rex is ready for this spot, or should he have gone through NXT first? And how do you think this affects Bron Breakker's championship reign and credibility? I need to hear all of your thoughts in the comments right now. If you're Team Steiner and think this is going to be great, hit that like button. If you're disappointed with how this played out, leave a comment explaining what you would have done differently. Share this video with everyone who needs to weigh in on this massive reveal. And subscribe to WrestlingNewsCC because we're going to be following this storyline closely, analyzing every development, and giving you all the updates you need. The Steiner era has begun, and whether you love it or hate it, it's going to be impossible to ignore.